me to look at you or to look directly at the camera?
Oh, hey, welcome to Big Time Attic. My dream for a long time is just, like, I want to end my life having a big bookshelf full of stuff that I've either produced or helped produce. And so I'd like to just keep writing and drawing graphic novels. I have a fun life right now because I work on science-based and educational comic books with Zander during the day, and then go home and write just crazy fiction comics. This is our entryway where we throw up just pictures and copies of anything we've done recently and are proud of. So it's sort of a hodgepodge. Every year, City Pages does a comics issue, and so we're real proud of that because that reaches 50,000 people, which is great. So we've got some stuff up there. I think the beauty of comics is that unlike film where you have a specific budget and we can't shoot in this location because it's too expensive. With comics, you can sit down and draw anything that you can imagine, and that's part of the beauty of it.
Well, I'm from all over. I was born in Boston, lived in Cleveland, Denver, and went to school in Iowa, and now I live in Minnesota. I also lived in Japan for 2 years. My wife and I lived there a couple of years. So yeah, and I'm a comic book artist. Well, my mom is an artist, and that was part of it. She makes sort of non-traditional quilts. She makes sort of art quilts that you hang on the wall. And actually, my mom too. She went to some like really sort of indie-friendly comic book store, which there weren't many at the time. And I think I got like the Flaming Carrot, or some crazy. I mean, it was a crazy comic, and I was really into it. I read it over and over and over again, and I thought, this is the sort of thing that I would love to be able to do. We've been working here for about 5 years, and during the first part, we did a lot of animation with Cartoon Network and some other companies, and that core of the business actually split off and is now its own company called Puny Entertainment, run by the great Chad Petoskey and Vincent Stahl. So right now, it's just me and Zander in this big studio, just doing comics, which is what we love. You create the characters, but then you let them go off on their own discoveries. I have a character called Army Shanks who lives up in the Canadian Arctic wilderness and, just fights polar bears all day and that sort of stuff. And at a certain point, I realized I'm writing this guy because I miss the outdoors. Like when I was a kid, my dad lived on the edge of a forest, which has now been completely razed and turned into houses. But for a long time, I was like living in the forest every day, tracking deer and just running around and riding my bike. And that was a huge part of my life that I've pretty much lost. Like I'm a complete city guy now. It took the sort of the adventures of Army Shanks for me to realize, God, I miss this. I miss this part of my life that I've lost. One of the things that's nice writing characters, especially ones that sort of are experiencing things that you experience in your life, is that you can take things to extremes, extremes that you'd never go to in your life. You can sort of work things out in as realistic a way as you can. It's like without doing them, without actually doing that, or you can sort of test things out or say things that you would never think to say and realize, oh, it wouldn't have been so bad if I said that, or oh, it would have been really bad if I said that. So maybe it's cautionary. You write character and you're like, ooh, yeah, don't do that. This is my workstation, which I don't know what else to say about it. This is where the job gets done. I used to draw lots of just short one or two or 3 page comics, that people would read pretty quickly and say, oh, that was fun. But now what I really enjoy is writing really big projects that are one solid story, because it's really fun to hear people, just the reactions of, oh, I really got invested in these characters, and I really want to know what happens next. There's all sorts of pressure. I mean, I wouldn't even want to talk about how sort of guilty I feel about not doing this and doing this instead, or trying to make money doing this, or waiting until time's just right to do this. There's always this pressure, and every time I work on something, there's something in the back of my head that says, oh, well, you really should be working on this. I get a lot of advice questions from people saying, how can I be a better comic book artist? And I think if I could impart
any wisdom on sort of up and coming comic book artists, because they're sometimes the most exciting people to talk to, is people who are not published, they're just getting into it, and you can see that sort of that fire in them. And the thing I'd say is just don't worry about your audience. Really write the book that you want to read. Imagine yourself walking into a comic book store. What book that you see on the shelf is going to get you extremely excited, and then you be that author.
These ideas are sort of alive when they're in your head. They're always changing, and they sort of flow one into another. And then when you put them down on paper, you are basically killing all these ideas. You're killing them and putting them on paper. And that's what and it's almost like that's what you've done. It's like, all right, I've killed all my ideas and put it on paper, and now it's like it's never what I wanted it to be. It's like there's this rush of like, I did it, and then it's like, yeah, but did it solve everything? And then invariably the answer is no. So I don't know what it is that causes it. I think that there's probably just something where that's an innate part of my personality, where I like to create something, I like to draw something, and I like to say, look, did you see it? And people can go, wow, I never knew you could do that, or I never knew anyone could do that. And you think, awesome. And then they're like, well, I gotta go. And you're like, all right, I guess I gotta draw another thing, get everybody back here again and show it to them.